Sacred artifact, Imperial Flame. 3000 Thunder Emperor Flame. Xiao Yan was startled, looking thoughtfully at the Chaos Great Emperor Flame in Yi Tianchen's hand. Inside the Chaos Great Emperor Flame, it seemed as if a faint little thunder dragon was wandering about. 3000 Thunder Emperor Flame. Is it also a type of Imperial Flame? After thinking for a moment, a flash of inspiration suddenly crossed Xiao Yan's mind, and he hurriedly asked. Yi Tianchen glanced at Xiao Yan oddly and said, "You don't even know this?" Seeing Xiao Yan shake his head with a wry smile, Yi Tianchen immediately gave him an exasperated look and said, "In the great world, there are many sacred artifacts. Each one is born from the condensation of the essence of heaven and earth, possessing tremendous power. These sacred artifacts include weapons, armor, flames, and even more profound things. Imperial flames are one of the 12 most powerful sacred artifacts in the great world. There are currently 36 known flames born from heaven and earth. An imperial flame is the collective term for all such flames. From this, the Imperial Flame Ranking was born. The Chaos Great Emperor Flame ranks 32nd, while the 3000 Thunder Emperor Flame ranks 27th. It is said that if all Imperial Flames are gathered and forged into a sacred artifact, its power could destroy heaven and shatter domains. Yi Tianchen spoke with deep emotion. Xiao Yan listened in shock. He had not expected that this great world also had something like an Imperial Flame ranking similar to the exotic flame ranking. And even more surprising was that the Chaos Great Emperor Flame only ranked 32nd. However, your Chaos Great Emperor Flame not only contains the flame source of the 3000 Thunder Emperor Flame, but it also doesn't seem to have fully transformed into a true Chaos Great Emperor Flame. Its power is too weak. Even the strongest beast flame on the Imperial Flame ranking cannot compare. Yet your Imperial Flame is only equivalent to an 8-star DoD. It truly disgraces the name of an Imperial Flame. Hearing Yi Tianchen's righteous critique, Xiao Yan felt ashamed yet also excited. He had originally thought Xiao Yi's strength reaching the 8-star DoD level was its limit, but unexpectedly it could become even stronger. Thinking about it, it made sense. How could a sacred artifact of the great world be limited to such strength? His eyes quickly filled with burning passion, and Xiao Yan asked eagerly, "Elder Yi, do you have a way to fully transform the Chaos Great Emperor Flame?" Yi Tianchen looked at Xiao Yan with aged, weathered eyes and suddenly grinned. "Tell me, little guy, are you a supreme saint expert of tens of thousands of Dao?" Xiao Yan was stunned for a moment, then said after a long pause, "Elder Yi, you must be joking. I'm merely a 3 Dao Emperor disciple. How could I possibly be a supreme saint expert?" Yi Tianchen smiled. "Then do you have the strength to defeat me?" Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly, and he quickly waved his hands. "How could I possibly possess such power?" Yi Tianchen's smile grew even wider. "Since you are neither a supreme saint nor capable of defeating this old man, how dare you question me? It's just a mere Imperial Flame ranked 32nd on the Imperial Flame Ranking. Transforming it, how difficult could it be? Moreover, Xiaolong has also said that your Chaos Great Emperor Flame is too weak, which is also not good for its recovery. So even if you didn't ask, I would still help you." Hearing Yi Tianchen's final words, Xiao Yan finally relaxed. Just now, Yi Tianchen's strange questioning had made his heart race wildly. He had almost thought he had somehow offended this supreme saint expert. It turned out the old man was merely teasing his dignity. Looking at the slightly shaken Xiao Yan, Yi Tianchen smiled proudly. After tens of thousands of years of loneliness, he had finally encountered a pleasant little fellow, enough to have some fun in his remaining time. Ignoring Xiao Yan's somewhat resentful gaze, Yi Tianchen casually tossed the Chaos Great Emperor Flame into the air, lazily extending a finger to point at it. Instantly, the vast blue sky above changed dramatically, and a violent storm surged forth. The Chaos Great Emperor Flame slowly suspended in midair. Within the storm, it gradually transformed into a fiery lotus. The flame lotus stood immovably amid the raging winds. Soon, the bud at its center quietly bloomed, releasing a pillar of fire that pierced through the heavens, causing even the surrounding clouds and wind to momentarily stagnate. In the next instant, strands of fire rain began to float around the pillar of fire. Just as Yi Tianchen was about to proceed further, he suddenly sensed something. His deep eyes instantly locked onto the center of the flame lotus. Within the bud, a tiny cluster of pure crimson flame was quietly burning. This was the flame source of the chaos Great Emperor Flame. Around this small flame, a nearly transparent thread of lightning drifted silently. The lightning thread resembled a miniature thunder dragon. Under Yi Tianchen's gaze, the lightning thread had nowhere to hide and transformed into a small thunder dragon, trembling under his stare while emitting a weak dragon cry. With Xiao Yan's limited strength, he naturally could not sense it, but Yi Tianchen heard it clearly. The aura of this little thunder dragon is indeed identical to the flame source aura of the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame. His eyes flickered as Yi Tianchen seemed to ponder something. After a moment, he glanced at the thunder dragon in slight surprise, then withdrew his gaze. Freed from his attention, the little thunder dragon was instantly relieved, and its figure vanished in an instant. At this moment, the fire lotus energy in the surrounding space had completely erupted. A sea of flames raged wildly above the fire lotus, causing the storm's attacks to collapse inch by inch, ultimately turning into nothingness. Yi Tianchen smiled faintly, his eyes slightly narrowed. In an instant, under Xiao Yan's perception, an overwhelming surge of soul power from all directions poured into the fire lotus. Sensing this soul power that made one's body and mind tremble, Xiao Yan's complexion instantly turned somewhat pale. Compared to this force, his own proudly possessed Emperor Realm soul seemed utterly insignificant. As the soul power was infused into the fire lotus, the next moment, the lotus erupted with billions of rays of radiance. The boundless light blotted out the sky, as if the entire heavens were burning. Blinded by the intense brilliance, Xiao Yan subconsciously closed his eyes. At this moment, Yi Tianchen chuckled lightly and moved the fingers of his right hand continuously, as though inscribing something. Soon, the radiance rapidly dissipated, and the storm also retreated swiftly. Xiao Yan immediately opened his eyes and looked into the sky, only to see a crystal-clear, jade fire lotus slowly rotating. At this moment, the fire lotus carried almost no temperature at all. It had undergone a complete sublimation, emerging from the mud unstained, pure and immaculate, elegant and poised like a graceful maiden. The flames within the lotus had become far more restrained, yet Xiao Yan could still feel the immense power contained within it. After examining the transformed fire lotus for a few moments, Yi Tianchen nodded in satisfaction. With a beckoning gesture, the fire lotus appeared in his hand. Glancing at Xiao Yan, whose burning gaze was fixed on the lotus, Yi Tianchen flicked his finger, sending the fire lotus flying toward him. Xiao Yan caught it at once, and under his watchful eyes, the fire lotus slowly transformed into Xiao Yi. At this time, Xiao Yi's appearance had not changed much, but its aura had undergone a tremendous transformation, as if it had merged with the great world itself, without the slightest sense of incongruity. What shocked Xiao Yan even more was its strength. He could no longer discern Xiao Yi's cultivation level at all. It was likely at least above the 5 Tao Emperor disciple level. The spirit of the chaos Great Emperor Flame itself is only at the 9 Tao Emperor disciple level. It won't play a major role against enemies. But if your strength is sufficient and you can control it skillfully, even stronger opponents will suffer a great loss. Hearing Yi Tianchen's words, Xiao Yan nodded in agreement. When he first obtained a strange flame, it was merely the green lotus core flame. As his strength increased, the flames he obtained became stronger and stronger. Yet even the green lotus core flame, under his control, still possessed tremendous power and could even injure a dosham. Thus, although the Chaos Great Emperor Flame is only at the 9 Tao Emperor disciple level and seems powerful now, it would eventually be surpassed by him. However, in his future hands, it would still be a formidable trump card. By the way, after you arrive in the Great World, did anything unusual happen to the Chaos Great Emperor Flame? Yi Tianchen suddenly asked. Xiao Yan snapped back to attention and, after thinking for a moment, told him about Xiao Yi devouring the 9 profound golden thunder. After hearing this, Yi Tianchen's brows furrowed deeply, a contemplative look appearing in his eyes. Seeing his expression, Xiao Yan's heart stirred slightly. This fallen supreme saint expert clearly knew something. After a long while, Yi Tianchen finally came back to his senses and looked directly into Xiao Yan's eyes. What cultivation technique are you currently practicing? Xiao Yan was startled. Then, without the slightest hesitation, he activated the Origin Emperor Qi within his body. Accompanied by the metallic ringing of the Origin chains, vast Origin Emperor Qi condensed in midair into an image. The image showed a network of intersecting meridians, the human body's meridian map. Soon, strands of disconnected meridians turned a vivid red, extremely striking. After finishing this, Xiao Yan looked at Yi Tianchen and said, "Elder Yi, this is the cultivation technique I practice." With Yi Tianchen's strength, he instantly saw through the circulation route of the flame mantra. After seeing it, his expression rarely turned solemn. He had already heard Xiao Yan mention that this flame mantra had automatically evolved after arriving in the Great World, something unheard of. Even something like the Chaos Great Emperor Flame, a sacred object, required a complete transformation before it could integrate into the Great World and unleash its true power. Yet this technique was merely something from the lower world. How could it possibly have such ability? Could it be that this thing was originally connected to the Great World? This thought suddenly made Yi Tianchen start, and his gaze toward the diagram became even more peculiar. The Chaos Great Emperor Flame was derived from one of the 12 sacred objects of the Great World, the Imperial Flame, with a strand of flame origin drifting into the lower world over countless ages. That made sense, but this strange technique, as far as he knew, was not among the 12 sacred objects at all. But if it was not a sacred object, how could it automatically transform itself? After thinking for a long time without any clue, and seeing Xiao Yan's expectant gaze, Yi Tianchen's old face reddened slightly. He then irritably said something that left Xiao Yan speechless. "You little freak." Xiao Yan could only let out a dry laugh, not knowing what to say. "Although this great world is boundless and endless, I admit that it is impossible for this old man to recognize everything. But you are just a mere emperor soldier, and still a little fellow who ascended from the lower world. How do you have so many strange things on you?" Yi Tianchen said through gritted teeth, without the slightest demeanor of a supreme saint expert. This, looking at the meridian diagram in the sky, a boundless shock surged in Xiao Yan's heart. Even with Yi Tianchen's knowledge, he did not recognize the flame mantra, and from the latter's tone, this was certainly something from the Great World. Then there were only two possibilities. First, it was something so ordinary it could be found on a roadside stall, so common that Yi Tianchen simply failed to recognize it. That would be normal. But something like the Chaos Emperor Flame, a sacred object, required external assistance to transform, whereas the flame mantra transformed automatically. Just this point alone proved it could not be some lowly item. Then there was only the second possibility. Xiao Yan drew a sharp breath and looked at Yi Tianchen, who was also looking at him. Before Xiao Yan could speak, Yi Tianchen's voice, carrying a hint of shock, already echoed across the heavens and earth. "Little guy, you might have something even more mysterious than the 12 sacred objects in your cultivation technique." Gulp. The thought in his heart was spoken aloud by Yi Tianchen. Xiao Yan subconsciously swallowed. It really did seem possible. After saying this, Yi Tianchen looked at the meridian diagram in the sky, and the more he looked, the more it seemed likely. After a long while, he let out a soft breath and glanced at Xiao Yan with a strange expression. This young man was truly unusual. If this technique was really something even more powerful than those legendary 12 sacred objects, then its potential would be limitless. If news of it were released, even those ancient old monsters from the profound mystery realm would likely be unable to resist making a move. Coughing lightly, Yi Tianchen said, "This is only a guess. Even if your cultivation technique is truly a sacred object of that legendary level, with your current pitiful strength, you are not qualified to uncover it. For now, forget about it." After a pause, Yi Tianchen continued solemnly, "According to your description, because of the flame mantra, you were able to continuously absorb more flames in the lower world. But judging from the current situation, your Chaos Emperor Flame is in the process of creating the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame." Xiao Yan was startled and looked at the Chaos Emperor Flame in his hand. Its ranking on the Emperor Flame ranking was far below the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame. How could it possibly create it? It's because of the 9 profound golden thunder. A flash of insight appeared in his mind, and Xiao Yan blurted out, "That's right." Yi Tianchen nodded. "If my guess is correct, your Chaos Emperor Flame, due to the special ability of the Flame Mantra, possesses a devouring power. The 9 profound golden thunder should be transformed from the flame source of the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame. After being devoured by the Chaos Emperor Flame, given time, it should be able to create the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame." Even though these words sounded somewhat absurd, even coming from Yi Tianchen, Xiao Yan still found them hard to believe. What did this mean? If that were the case, wouldn't it mean all 36 Emperor Flames could be easily collected? Seeing Xiao Yan's shock, Yi Tianchen gave a cold snort. "Brat, stop daydreaming. The prerequisite for the Chaos Emperor Flame to create other Emperor Flames is that it must first devour their flame sources. But right now, apart from the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame, can you even find the flame sources of any other Emperor Flames?" Yi Tianchen's words were like a bucket of cold water, instantly extinguishing Xiao Yan's rising excitement. He let out a dry laugh and put this unrealistic idea aside. Indeed, with his current strength, possessing the Chaos Emperor Flame was already extremely fortunate. One must know one's limits. Overreaching leads to failure. Xiao Yan had long engraved this principle in his heart. However, Yi Tianchen said, his deep gaze falling on the small Xiao Long in Xiao Yan's hand, "According to my estimation, once the Chaos Emperor Flame successfully creates the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame, the two will inevitably engage in a great battle. At that time, you may even be affected. With your strength as a 3-Dao Emperor soldier, you likely won't be able to handle it. Judging by the level of the 9 profound golden thunder, in at most 1 year, it will transform into the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame. Within these 5 months, you must do your best to increase your strength to deal with the crisis of Emperor Flames merging." Xiao Yan's heart tightened, and then he solemnly nodded. Given Yi Tianchen's identity, there was no reason for him to deceive him. Moreover, when Emperor Flames merge, even with one's toes, one could imagine how dangerous the process would be. As the owner of the Chaos Emperor Flame, he could not possibly stay out of it. It seemed that improving his strength in this period was urgent. After a pause, Yi Tianchen gave a self-deprecating smile. "In truth, after saying so much, I still have my own selfish motive. The stronger the Chaos Emperor Flame becomes, the greater the help it provides to Xiao Long's recovery." Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan smiled openly. "Elder Yi, please don't say that. The stronger the Chaos Emperor Flame is, the better it is for me as well. I'm more than willing. You have helped me so much. I'm truly grateful from the bottom of my heart." Hearing this, Yi Tianchen curled his lips. "Your strength is lacking, but your mouth is quite sharp, kid." Though he said this, even Yi Tianchen's long-dead, desolate heart was slightly moved. With his experience, he could naturally sense the deep gratitude in Xiao Yan's tone. Before his fall, he had been a world-renowned figure, roaming the domains with supreme saint strength, and his alchemy skills were unmatched. Few could stand on equal footing with him. But this also made him extremely proud, offending many experts of the same level. Although those people, wary of his identity as an alchemy saint master, did not openly oppose him and still greeted him with smiles, when he was targeted by that organization, and two supreme saints were sent to intercept him along with Xiao Long in the forest domain. None of those supreme saint experts ultimately came to his aid. For tens of thousands of years, he had once been angry and resentful, and had reflected countless times. As his consciousness gradually faded, he had come to accept everything. What had begun as arrogance had transformed into a calm and composed heart. As 10,000 years passed, even that tranquil state carried a faint sense of solitude. Now, Xiao Yan's actions and his assistance to the giant egg brought Yi Tianchen a trace of gratification, along with a hint of joy. There is one more thing. You must stay in this illusory realm for an entire year. No problem with that, right? Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan's heart began to pound violently. What did it mean to stay alongside a supreme, saint-level expert in life? The question hardly required consideration. Xiao Yan took a deep breath, forcing himself to calm down. Even his voice trembled slightly from excitement. No problem. This junior also planned to calm his mind and improve his strength this year. Yi Tianchen smiled playfully, his gaze filled with teasing amusement. You still think you can calmly cultivate for a year? What a joke. You are the last little fellow this old man encounters in his life. If I don't properly torture you, I would truly be wasting this fate. With that thought, a glint flashed in Yi Tianchen's eyes. He smiled at the immersed and excited Xiao Yan. Little fellow, this illusory realm of mine will probably dissipate completely in about 4 years. By then, I will also completely cease to exist. Moreover, the flow of time here differs from the outside world. 3 years outside equals 1 year here. If you have no other matters, how about staying here for the full 4 years? Humph! Xiao Yan's already slightly calmed heartbeat surged violently once again at these words. His rapid breathing even caused the primordial Emperor Qi within his body to become somewhat disordered, and even the origin Emperor chains seemed to emit faint tremors. Many thanks for Elder Yi's kindness. This junior will shamelessly accept. Even though Xiao Yan had once stood proudly above the winds of change, unshaken even when heaven and earth collapsed, he still struggled to react to such a sudden and immense opportunity. And after a long pause, he finally managed to say this. Yi Tianchen miril similit indifferently. In truth, he also had a significant private motive for doing this. The Chaos Great Emperor Flame was ultimately only a relatively weak Emperor Flame, and even when fused with the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame, the results would not be ideal. Moreover, Xiao Long was once a supreme, saint-level sacred beast. 1 year was simply not enough for it to recover. Thus, Yi Tianchen decided to let Xiao Yan remain until the illusory realm collapsed. The 4 years inside the illusion equated to just over 1 year outside. Although this might reduce 1 year of trial time, if Xiao Yan could obtain even a single instruction from Yi Tianchen, it would surpass several years of solitary cultivation. Moreover, this arrangement effectively granted him 3 extra years of trial time. Even without guidance, 3 years would still be enough for significant improvement. With such reasoning, Xiao Yan naturally agreed without hesitation. Then it settled. During this time, focus on cultivation. The sooner your strength improves, the greater the benefit to the fusion of the Chaos Great Emperor Flame and the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame. Yi Tianchen paused slightly, then flicked his sleeve. Xiao Yan's storage ring trembled uncontrollably. 6 fire pillars appeared around him, each containing a drop of eerily crimson blood, slowly circulating within. Good things shouldn't go to waste. This seems to be used for refining some low-grade pill, but with your current soul and strength, you are not qualified for it yet. The blood within these pillars contains extremely dense fire-attributed energy, which suits you perfectly. It will accelerate your cultivation. As he spoke, Yi Tianchen bent his fingers and flicked them. With several cracking sounds, the stone pillars shattered, and the 6 drops of blood were gradually dispersed, each absorbed into jade vials formed from condensed primordial Emperor Qi. Whoosh! One jade vial flew toward Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's brows twitched as he caught it. The violent energy has already been removed by this old man. The remaining pure fire energy is enough for you to advance to the 4 Dao Emperor Scholar realm. Break through quickly. It will be interesting then. Before Xiao Yan could fully process the last words, Yi Tianchen swept his white sleeve, and Xiao Yan vanished from sight. Swoosh! A sound of breaking wind rang out, and in the next moment, Xiao Yan reappeared in a completely different place. Before he could react, a furious roar sounded beside him. A black shadow flashed and pounced toward him. Xiao Yan remained calm. The primordial Emperor Qi within his body surged instantly, causing the Origin Emperor chains to clatter violently. At the same moment, he threw a punch directly at the shadow's head. Ugh! He could not help but let out a pain groan. Xiao Yan glanced at his slightly reddened fist, then looked at the shadow before him. It was a wolf-type magical beast with the strength of a single Dao Emperor Scholar. Struck heavily by Xiao Yan's punch, it was sent flying backward, wailing along the way before crashing heavily onto the ground like a sandbag. The black wolf whimpered a few times, then lay motionless with its limbs stretched out. After killing the black wolf, Xiao Yan barely had time to catch his breath before hearing dense roars erupting all around him. Instinctively looking up, he saw hundreds of black wolves in the surrounding valley, and his expression changed. After a long moment, he finally squeezed out a few words. This supreme saint is even more abnormal. On a plaza far away, Yi Tianchen sat cross-legged in leisure, sipping a cup of fragrant tea that seemed to have appeared from nowhere. As if he could hear Xiao Yan's distant complaint, he smiled faintly, took a slow sip, and smacked his lips in satisfaction before murmuring, "A perverted legacy of a supreme saint. It seems only an even more perverted individual can obtain it." A gentle remark was quickly scattered by the breeze. The sky remained a boundless expanse of blue. Aru, accompanied by a miserable howl, the last black wolf was shattered under Xiao Yan's iron fist and turned into a stream of soul power that dissipated into nothingness. Having exhausted all his strength to deal with over 100 black wolves, even Xiao Yan, whose primordial Emperor Qi could rival a 5 Dao Emperor soldier, could no longer hold on. Waves of weakness surged through his body, turning his vision into a blank haze. The Origin Emperor chains condensed from his primordial Emperor Qi had already been completely depleted, and the pain spreading through every part of his body constantly assaulted his nerves. Before he could take a recovery pill, a shocking pallor rapidly spread across Xiao Yan's face. In an instant, the white blur before his eyes turned into endless darkness. His legs went weak, and he collapsed from utter exhaustion. Before Xiao Yan could regain even a shred of strength, a sharp sound of wind breaking suddenly rang out. Immediately after, a black shadow lunged in like a gale, its movements as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, it arrived beside him. The intense wind pressure and a sudden sense of danger jolted Xiao Yan awake. Instinctively, he rolled aside almost instantly. The next moment, a black claw viciously struck the ground where he had just lain. Dust exploded everywhere, blasting a pit the size of 2 fists. After dodging the attack, Xiao Yan finally saw his assailant clearly. It was still a black wolf, but this one looked noticeably stronger than the previous hundreds. Its fur was extremely dark, seeming to shimmer faintly under the sunlight. Its blood-red eyes looked as though they contained condensed blood, and its aura, comparable to a 5 Dao Emperor soldier, shot toward Xiao Yan like a sharp blade. Such a weak pressure naturally could not affect Xiao Yan, but after sensing the black wolf's strength, a bitter smile appeared on his pale face. In his current state, so exhausted he could barely move a finger, defeating even a D-level magical beast would be difficult, let alone this 5 Dao Emperor soldier black wolf. Missing its strike, the black wolf seemed slightly surprised. It let out a low growl and stared at Xiao Yan with its copper bell-sized, blood-red eyes, a trace of cruelty flashing within them as it slowly advanced. I miscalculated. Xiao Yan lay on the ground, gasping for breath. He had not expected Yi Tianchen to have prepared such a move, catching him completely off guard. Woo! The black wolf's gaping maw drew closer to Xiao Yan, preparing to bite down. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes, looking at the creature right in front of him, and sighed inwardly. Reluctantly, he was just about to use the azure origin pearl he had obtained from Manly when Yi Tianchen's laughter suddenly echoed in his ears. Little fellow, remember this. If you are ever surrounded in the future, even if you can kill all enemies with everything you have, you must still leave yourself a margin of strength. That is to ensure you can handle other sudden situations. You never know when an enemy hiding in the shadows will appear and deliver a fatal blow to an exhausted you. Yi Tianchen's voice shifted from a relaxed chuckle to an increasingly solemn tone, finally carrying a hint of warning. As the voice gradually faded, Xiao Yan noticed that the black wolf beside him had already turned into a stream of soul power and dissipated. Only then did he nod solemnly. With his rich combat experience, Xiao Yan naturally understood such a simple principle. However, ever since arriving in the Great World, the drastic gap in strength and status had left him somewhat shaken, especially after entering the illusory realm and facing Yi Tianchen, who was a supreme saint in life. He had completely lost any sense of resistance in his heart. Being in another's territory and facing such an insurmountable gap in strength, Xiao Yan had no choice but to entrust his fate to Yi Tianchen. It was precisely because of this cruel reality that Xiao Yan had gradually lost vigilance toward Yi Tianchen. With such a disparity in strength, no amount of caution seemed meaningful. If Yi Tianchen wanted to kill him, it would probably be easier than blinking. Because of this, Xiao Yan had unknowingly lost control over his own fate, just like earlier, when everything had been completely in Yi Tianchen's hands. However, Yi Tianchen's words just now struck like a bolt from the blue, jolting Xiao Yan awake. No matter how weak one might be, one's fate must still be held in one's own hands. Slowly clenching his fists, Xiao Yan took a deep breath. The light in his eyes gradually returned. Not only physical recovery, but also a recovery of his state of mind. Although Xiao Yan had already absorbed intimidating pressure using the Imperial might contained deep within his heart, adapting himself to the great world, his mental state had not kept up. This time, Yi Tianchen's words were like enlightenment, elevating his state of mind to a new height and allowing him to reclaim his destiny. The sudden shift in mentality also calmed Xiao Yan's previously restless heart, returning him to a tranquil, unshaken state. On the plaza, Yi Tianchen suddenly raised his brows slightly. After carefully sensing for a moment, he smiled faintly and drained the tea in his cup in one gulp, murmuring, "That's more like it." A true powerhouse holds not only the fate of others in his hands, but also his own. As the words left his mouth, Yi Tianchen shook his head with self-mockery and let out a sigh. Controlling the fate of others was easy, but controlling one's own fate was far more difficult. Even as a supreme saint, I still cannot control my own destiny. Just how deep do the waters of this great world truly run? Yi Tianchen sighed softly and once again fell in a deep thought. Within the tranquil forest, the moment his strength had recovered, Xiao Yan eagerly took out the white jade vial Yi Tianchen had given him. In truth, with strength comparable to a 5-Dao Emperor disciple, even after killing over 100 black wolves that were merely at the level of a 1-Dao Emperor disciple, and then facing that 5-Dao Emperor disciple level black wolf, he should at least have had the ability to escape. However, the level of the flame mantra greatly restricted him. According to Elder Yi, if he obtained another Imperial Flame, the flame mantra would evolve once more. Yet the Chaos Great Emperor Flame would require at least another year before it could produce the 3,000 Thunder Emperor Flame. During that period, the only option was to improve his strength as much as possible and finish battles quickly, thereby minimizing the limitations imposed by the flame mantra. The moment the jade vial appeared, scorching fire-attributed energy drifted out from within. As soon as it came into contact with the air, the sound of primordial Emperor Qi burning immediately echoed out. Taking a light breath, Xiao Yan removed his upper garment, revealing a somewhat lean upper body. Though his muscles were not particularly pronounced, that slender frame was filled with power. Following Elder Yi's instructions, Xiao Yan poured out a small amount of the thick crimson liquid from the jade vial and evenly applied it to his lower abdomen. The instant the liquid touched his skin, a searing pain spread outward from his abdomen like blazing fire. In an instant, the skin across his upper body turned crimson red, while an intense, scorching sensation continuously assaulted his nerves. Grinding his teeth tightly, Xiao Yan endured the pain and continued applying the red liquid. Gradually, the fierce burning pain seemed to lessen somewhat. At the same time, within his dantian, primordial Emperor Qi began surging wildly, while the Origin Emperor chains rattled loudly. Inside the Origin Emperor crystal, the incomplete Origin Emperor chain also gradually lengthened under the infusion of primordial Emperor Qi. Noticing the obvious effect, a flash of joy passed through Xiao Yan's eyes. He stored the jade vial back into his storage ring and swiftly formed a cultivation seal. In an instant, the primordial Emperor Qi surrounding him poured madly into his body. Passing through the layer of crimson medicinal liquid coating his skin, most of the impurities within the primordial Emperor Qi were removed, leaving only the purest primordial Emperor Qi to enter his body. As soon as the primordial Emperor Qi entered Xiao Yan's body, it followed the circulation route of the flame mantra and instantly flowed into the Origin Emperor crystal. Refined by the Origin Emperor crystal, it surged into the growing Origin Emperor chain. Accompanied by sounds of metal clashing against metal, the Origin Emperor chain gradually took shape. At the same time, Xiao Yan's aura slowly began to rise. By the time the crimson medicinal liquid on his skin had completely disappeared, the fourth Origin Emperor chain was still unfinished. Realizing this, Xiao Yan could not help but shake his head. The enormous amount of primordial Emperor Qi just now was comparable to nearly half the medicinal effect of the aggregation pill Zhao Qingshan had given him, yet it still failed to condense even a single Origin Emperor chain. It seemed that advancing to higher levels in the future would require even greater amounts of primordial Emperor Qi. Looking at the jade vial that still contained half of the red medicinal liquid, Xiao Yan smiled helplessly. It appeared that Elder Yi understood his condition well and had prepared more than enough for him. Suppressing the pain once again, Xiao Yan spread the remaining medicinal liquid all over his upper body. This time, the burning sensation was even fiercer than before, so intense that he could even hear the medicine sizzling against his skin. His body trembled slightly as Xiao Yan allowed the medicinal liquid to scorch his upper body crimson red. With his eyes tightly shut, another dense surge of primordial Emperor Qi flooded into his body. At this moment, Xiao Yan's body operated like a rapidly running engine. The primordial Emperor Qi, after completing a cycle along the route of the flame mantra, flowed into the Origin Emperor crystal, which quickly refined it and integrated it into the Origin Emperor chain. Meanwhile, the Origin Emperor chain continued to grow slowly at a speed imperceptible to the naked eye. Clang! With the sound of metal ringing out, the fourth Origin Emperor chain finally took shape. Like an enormous bronze chain, it began to penetrate throughout Xiao Yan's meridians under the control of his spiritual sense. Outside, Xiao Yan paid no attention to the pain covering his body. His mind remained fixed on the inside of his body, carefully guiding the Origin Emperor chain. With the experience from last time, it took only a short while before the fourth Origin Emperor chain, like the previous three, firmly threaded itself through all the meridians in his body. As the four Origin Emperor chains resonated and vibrated together, Xiao Yan's long-suppressed aura suddenly erupted forth. An imposing pressure far stronger than that of a three-Dao Emperor disciple slowly rose from his body, while the powerful airflow sent shattered stones flying in all directions. This fourth Origin Emperor chain was also as thick as an infant's arm and contained an immense amount of primordial Emperor Qi. Feeling this several-fold increase in strength compared to before, Xiao Yan let out a relaxed breath. 4 Dao Emperor disciple. This meant he could now contend against an ordinary 6 Dao Emperor disciple. At last, his strength had improved once again. That was pretty fast. Just as Xiao Yan was preparing for the next stage of his cultivation, Yi Tianchen suddenly appeared, a faint smile resting on his handsome face. Elder, Xiao Yan quickly bowed when he saw Yi Tianchen suddenly appear. With his current level of strength, he was far from worthy of the other party's notice. However, Yi Tianchen had previously made it clear that he would not harm him. Since that was the case, being able to stay beside a supreme saint expert naturally filled Xiao Yan with great delight. A single word of guidance from such a being was equivalent to years of bitter cultivation for him. Although there were no shortcuts in cultivation, anything that could help him avoid unnecessary detours was something he could not ask for more. Yi Tianchen did not respond, speaking to himself instead. This illusory realm of mine is ultimately not like the forest domain, where you can fully undergo trials. Since you have advanced to 4 paths Emperor Scholar, given the vast primordial Emperor Chi required for your breakthrough, it is still too early to reach 5 paths Emperor Scholar. However, since I have kept you here, I naturally will not let your cultivation stagnate. Your own strength will be difficult to improve further for now, but I can teach you an Emperor technique. How about it? Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly lit up as he smiled faintly. At present, Xiao Yan's strongest Emperor technique was the incomplete Heaven Evolution Fist. As one of the 4 fists of the Celestial Silence Fist, the Heaven Evolution Fist, although only a high-grade Emperor art, was extremely powerful. After Xiao Yan advanced to Emperor Scholar, he had become increasingly proficient in using it. Back when he was still a Dou Emperor, the primordial Emperor Chi within him was only enough to execute the Heaven Evolution Fist 4 or 5 times. Now, however, he could use it freely without restraint. Even so, as his strength grew, Xiao Yan increasingly felt the lack of Emperor techniques at his disposal. It was manageable when fighting magical beasts, but in battles against other people, lacking flexible and varied Emperor techniques would undoubtedly put him at a disadvantage. Thus, upon hearing that Yi Tianchen intended to teach him an Emperor technique, his heart began to pound uncontrollably. Could an Emperor technique in the hands of a supreme saint expert be ordinary? Thinking of this, Xiao Yan's breathing even became slightly hurried. Elder Yi, what level of Emperor technique is it? He asked impatiently. It surely could not be something like an Emperor art of low grade. At the very least, it should be at the level of an Emperor formula. Yi Tianchen smiled, and his answer instantly froze the smile on Xiao Yan's face. Intermediate Emperor art. Recovering from his shock, Xiao Yan was left with a face full of black lines. Elder Yi, is an intermediate Emperor art really worth you personally teaching me? Upon hearing this, Yi Tianchen chuckled. You brat, you already know the answer. With my status, an intermediate Emperor art is indeed not worth my personal attention. However, this one is not ordinary. Oh, Xiao Yan's heart stirred. After a moment of contemplation, he carefully asked, could it be that this Emperor art can evolve into some kind of Emperor law? Yi Tianchen glanced at him and then cleared his throat. Don't think that far ahead. Even if I gave you an Emperor law now, would you be able to use it? The reason this Emperor technique is special is because it is not meant for humans to cultivate. Xiao Yan froze. Not meant for humans to cultivate. To be precise, it is no longer really an Emperor technique. It is more like a secret method, Yi Tianchen said after some thought. Perhaps it is more appropriate to call it the Emperor Flame secret skill. Emperor Flame secret skill? Xiao Yan murmured. Then his expression suddenly changed as he looked at Yi Tianchen in shock. Elder Yi, is this thing meant for Emperor Flames to cultivate? Under Xiao Yan's stunned gaze, Yi Tianchen nodded. Correct. I once said that Emperor Flames are sacred objects of the great world. Their true power is beyond imagination. At that level, they're essentially beings with life. However, their internal structure is not truly human-like. So, cultivating human emperor techniques is extremely difficult for them. Thus, these Emperor Flame secret skills are techniques suited for Emperor Flames to cultivate. Pausing slightly, he added, "It is not only Emperor Flames that have such secret skills. As far as I know, the other 11 great sacred objects also possess their own secret skills. Even among sacred objects not included among the 12 sacred objects, many also have such techniques." With that, Yi Tianchen extended his hand, and a flame with a faint golden red hue floated out. "Your Chaos Great Emperor Flame is still somewhat short of reaching the Imperial Master level. If you cultivate this Emperor Flame secret skill, it should be enough to contend with an Imperial Master." Hearing all this with overwhelming shock, Xiao Yan instinctively swallowed. Then, as if realizing something, he asked curiously, "Elder Yi, since you are so familiar with Emperor Flame secret skills, could it be that you also possess an Emperor Flame?" Yi Tianchen gave a light snort, a hint of pride in his tone. "Indeed, as a former alchemy saint master renowned across the domains, how could I not possess an Emperor Flame?" As his words fell, he flicked his sleeve, and in the next moment, an eerie azure droplet appeared before Xiao Yan. The moment it appeared, the Chaos Great Emperor Flame seemed to sense the presence of a formidable opponent. Its flames immediately trembled violently, dimming significantly, as though it were bowing in acknowledgement of the droplet's presence. Xiao Yan stared solemnly at the strange droplet before him. Though it was smaller than his fingernail, the immense power contained within made his heart tremble. It felt as though an endless tidal wave were crashing toward him, reducing everything in its path to nothingness with its searing flames. This Imperial Flame is called the Refining Emperor Sea Heaven Flame. It ranks 24th on the Emperor Flame Ranking. It exists only beneath bottomless abysses. At its peak, it could transform into waves tens of thousands of zhang high, and beneath those waves, nothing could survive. After speaking casually, Yi Tianchen put the droplet away. A flicker crossed Xiao Yan's eyes. At its peak, that meant it was now severely weakened. If even an Imperial Flame could be injured so badly, the great battle back then must have been unimaginably fierce. But the Imperial Flame that truly made my name known throughout the world was the Thousand Leaves Ancestor Emperor Flame. It ranks 16th on the Emperor Flame Ranking, and its power is enough to shake heaven and earth. You're still far too weak, so I won't be showing it to you, brat." Yi Tianchen coughed lightly as he delivered the excuse with an air of perfect righteousness. Hearing the first part of Yi Tianchen's words, Xiao Yan was deeply shaken. Possessing 2 Imperial Flames alone was enough to prove Yi Tianchen's terrifying strength. When he thought of the supreme saint who had killed him, astonishment filled his heart. Yi Tianchen had first been an immensely powerful supreme saint, then an alchemist with extraordinarily powerful soul power, and on top of that, he possessed 2 Imperial Flames. Back then, defeating supreme saints of the same level would have been effortless for him. He might even have challenged opponents above his own realm. Yet despite all that, he had still been slain. Just how powerful was the supreme saint who had killed Yi Tianchen? The latter half of Yi Tianchen's explanation made Xiao Yan smile. He saw through the obvious excuse, but chose not to expose it. It wasn't because Xiao Yan was too weak. More likely, the Thousand Leaves Ancestor Emperor Flame had suffered grievous damage to its flame core and could no longer be used freely. Back then, I was merely an expert of the Emperor Dao. The Thousand Leaves Ancestor Emperor Flame appeared within an ancient desert of the central region. After emerging, it possessed a Bodhi tree that had grown for hundreds of millions of years. Drawing upon the power of the Bodhi tree, it forcefully killed more than a dozen heavenly supreme experts and drove back countless others. After I obtained it, I was ambushed during the refinement process and nearly perished. Fortunately, the refining Emperor Sea Heaven Flame within my body neutralized its power, allowing me to absorb it successfully. As he recalled those perilous days, a trace of lingering fear still flashed across Yi Tianchen's eyes. It was obvious that the dangers he had faced to obtain the Thousand Leaves Ancestor Emperor Flame could never be summarized in just a few sentences. Although the Thousand Leaves Ancestor Emperor Flame is only ranked 16th, it is extraordinarily powerful. On the Emperor Flame ranking, the top 3 have already become legends, and the 4th-ranked Imperial Flame has disappeared for a very long time. In that sense, the Thousand Leaves Ancestor Emperor Flame's true ranking would actually be 12th. As if afraid Xiao Yan might underestimate the Imperial Flame that had made his reputation, Yi Tianchen hurriedly added the explanation. Xiao Yan sighed inwardly in amazement. After one shock after another, even his usually tranquil state of mind was finally stirred. As expected of a supreme saint, he had actually managed to subdue such a terrifying Imperial Flame. It wasn't difficult for Xiao Yan to imagine the might of the Thousand Leaves Ancestor Emperor Flame. At its peak, it would surely have been capable of effortlessly incinerating even heavenly supreme experts. This Emperor Flame secret skill was something I obtained along with the Thousand Leaves Ancestor Emperor Flame. Given the flame's power, this Emperor Flame secret skill surpassed the level of an Emperor Law and reached the realm of a saint art. However, when used with your Chaos Great Emperor Flame, at best it can only reach the level of an intermediate Great Emperor technique. Xiao Yan shook his head helplessly and smacked his lips. A saint art. That was an Emperor technique far more formidable than even an Emperor Law. In the Great World, Emperor techniques were divided into 2 tiers and 6 grades. The lower tier, from strongest to weakest, consisted of Emperor Law, Emperor Formula, and Emperor Technique. The higher tier consisted of Saint Law, Saint Formula, and Saint Art. However, Emperor Techniques as advanced as Saint Law existed only in legend. Even if they did exist, they would likely belong to the category of sacred artifacts, things that could only be admired from afar, never obtained. To be precise, high-tier Emperor Techniques were exceedingly rare. Those who possessed them were invariably members of great clans or the strongest experts. Even many top experts of the Imperial Path usually possessed only a few low-tier Emperor Laws. The scarcity of high-tier Emperor Techniques was self-evident. For Xiao Yan as he was now, an Emperor Law was already an overwhelmingly powerful Emperor Technique. Even the lower-ranked Emperor Formula would be enough to compensate for the limitations imposed by the Flame Mantra. But this Emperor Flame secret skill, which could only reach the level of an intermediate Great Emperor Technique, it really felt far too low level. Of course, Xiao Yan only dared think such words to himself. Outwardly, he revealed not the slightest hint of it. Bowing respectfully, he said, "Elder Yi, please instruct me." Yi Tianchen chuckled, his gaze growing even more satisfied as he looked at Xiao Yan. Whether you can learn it or not will depend on the compatibility between you and the Chaos Great Emperor Flame. As he spoke, he flicked his finger, and the Chaos Great Emperor Flame arrived before Xiao Yan, transforming into little Yi, who jumped on his Xiao Yan's shoulder. Yi Tianchen's expression also turned slightly solemn at this moment. He extended his palm straight out, and a blood-colored streak shot out of his palm like lightning. In midair, it transformed into a fire beast over a man's height, resembling both a wolf and a tiger. Its body was engulfed in blazing flames, with only a pair of sharp fangs exposed. This is the Emperor Flame secret skill I obtained back then, called the Wheel Flame Path. Under normal conditions, the Emperor Flame secret skill can take on any form. This Wheel Flame Path takes the form of a magical beast. Only by devouring it can the Chaos Great Emperor Flame learn the Emperor Flame secret skill, Yi Tianchen said, looking at the formidable fire beast in the air. Xiao Yan nodded and looked toward little Yi. At this moment, the latter was staring at the fire beast form from the Emperor Flame secret skill with a face full of delight, a trace of unshakable greed in its eyes. Xiao Yan was all too familiar with that look. Whenever he encountered something that moved him, his own eyes seemed to look the same. Patting little Yi's head, Xiao Yan said softly, "Little Yi, you are part of the sacred artifact Emperor Flame. You can definitely devour it." Little Yi nodded its big head. Its pink, chubby face was full of seriousness. With a soft "yeah," It transformed into a streak of flame-like lightning and shot toward the fire beast. Suspended in midair, the fire beast looked at the chaos great emperor flame charging toward it. Instinctively, it felt a hint of fear. However, after sensing little Yi's strength, the caution in its eyes faded significantly. With a furious roar, it too surged forward, engulfed in raging flames, charging toward little Yi. The beast and the flame collided like two meteors, erupting in a massive explosion. In the next moment, a mass of flame shot out from the smoke of the explosion, instantly forming a fire net tens of meters wide that tightly wrapped the fire beast at its center. Trapped within the fire net due to its momentary carelessness, the fire beast began struggling violently, its furious roars echoing endlessly. As it struggled, the sound of the fire net tearing apart could also be heard continuously. Just as Xiao Yan grew worried, Yi Tianchen suddenly spoke. The Chaos Great Emperor Flame is no match for the Emperor Flame's secret skill. Little guy, you make a move. Xiao Yan was startled. Seeing Yi Tianchen point to his celestial crown, he immediately understood. He closed his eyes, his mind stirring, and a surge of soul power burst forth from between his brows, violently striking the fire beast within the smoke. Sensing Xiao Yan's soul power, which was far stronger than that of ordinary people, Yi Tianchen's gaze flickered slightly, a hint of contemplation appearing in his eyes as he looked at Xiao Yan. Ugh! A miserable cry rang out. Xiao Yan also opened his eyes, his face pale. That strike earlier felt as if it had slammed into a steel plate, causing even his soul to ache slightly. With his Emperor Realm soul, unmatched on the Doqi continent, merely attempting an attack had already caused such damage. Using it for alchemy was something he could not even dare to imagine. Xiao Yan's soul attack, however, proved quite effective. Caught off guard and injured at its origin, the fire beast's body trembled violently, its steps becoming somewhat unsteady. Seizing the opportunity, the Chaos Great Emperor Flame intensified its flames, once again forming a fire net that enveloped heaven and earth, wrapping the fire beast within it once more.